Hi everybody, my name is Sean, and for those of you just tuning in, I'm Betty's daughter. And Betty has lived with me for the past 8 years, and she has been fighting against dementia for the past 20 years. And she's an amazing lady, and there are certain things that are helping her to survive and thrive in the face of dementia. And so our channel is all about sharing her story. Today we're going to talk about food sensitivities. An allergy is more severe than a food sensitivity. So that's more like people who eat peanuts and then they go into a anaphylactic shock that sends them to the hospital. So an allergy is much more severe. But a sensitivity can really undermine your quality of life. It can really make you feel terrible on the inside. So in other words, if something is applied topically to you and you have a sensitivity to it, you may get a rash. Likewise, internally, if you ingest something, eat something, swallow something that you're sensitive to, of course, you can't see the rash that might be occurring. You can't see the swelling that might be occurring. But internally, there's a war going on that your body is saying, hey, what did you put in here? I don't like it. Don't do that again type thing. So sensitivities are something to take very seriously. But those would be the distinctions. Well, over time, in particular, once she started living here and I could really observe her behaviors after eating, that's when I really became acquainted with it. All coming up as a child, I remember her saying that she could not eat raw bananas and that raw bananas would make her throw up. So she had more of a severe reaction to bananas. I also remember when we would take trips to the South, in particular Mississippi. I remember that oftentimes that would result in my mother's face swelling and even cracks developing in her skin where there would be an oozing of pus from her skin. Her lips would swell, her face would swell. I remember that, and that had to do seemingly with environmental factors like the extreme heat in Mississippi and the sun. She's sensitive to flour and other processed foods, like corn chips, for example. Corn doesn't make her tired, but corn chips make her tired. So flour, though, is number one uno. Wheat flour. Betty becomes combative. She becomes sleepy, tired, irritable, sad. You know, ultimately you can see the sadness in her. Because it really defeats, you know, I mean, she's in it to win it. She's trying to be victorious over this thing. And if she gets a hold of some flour inside of her, it's a depression kind of a feeling, because it makes you feel sad, to go from feeling just fine to now a state of misery. So sensitivities are though they don't kill you immediately, they can kill you slowly if you continuously eat food and wheat. Think about it. Toast for breakfast, a sandwich for lunch, rolls for dinner. I mean, wheat and pasta in the dinner meal. I mean, you could be continuously being fed wheat in all different types of form every day, and that would be very undermining to your sense of well-being. So primarily the thing that I've done is to focus on what she can have. She can't have wheat, but there's so many other things that she can have. So she can have all fruits with the exception of bananas. And she can have all proteins. So seafood, she gets salmon, she gets tuna, she gets shrimp, she gets beef, pork, chicken, all of the protein foods. Oysters are very much so a part of her diet. And then in terms of vegetables, the whole spectrum. She gets okra, she gets greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, collard greens, corn, tomatoes, squash goes over really big with her, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. So there's so many things that Betty can still eat. And so I just focus on that. Nuts, macadamia nuts, walnuts, peanuts, pecans. She gets a really nice nut mixture. She gets yogurt, sour cream, sauerkraut, all the legumes, lentils, beans, peas, all of those things. So her diet is very healthy, extremely healthy. And the other part of her diet that I think is so important to mention is sea vegetables. So Betty gets spirulina, she gets wakame, and those things are very mineral rich, very rich in iodine, and they keep Betty so strong and healthy. It's amazing. So when we go out to eat, I look at that menu, I order from the gluten-free menu, and I will also do things like for example, at Carrabba's. Carrabba's has a lemon pasta shrimp. I think it's called pasta wheezy. And it's a creamy base that has shrimp. It's served over noodles. So what I've done with them is I clarify with them that the creamy base is gluten-free, because a lot of creamy bases are made from a roux, and a roux consists of butter, flour for thickening the roux, and then a broth or water to increase the volume so that it's not so heavy with cream. And so anyway, what I'm saying there is that Carrabba's does a nice job of providing gluten-free offerings. And so what I can do there is, even when something is presented on the menu as being a pasta dish, I can take that dish and then ask for them to serve it over spinach. So that particular dish is one that Betty enjoys a lot, and I just order it over spinach, and now you've got a gluten-free delicious meal. And the beauty of it too, not only does it not aggravate her from a sensitivity standpoint, but it doesn't make her feel stuffed. You know how when people eat and they get that stuffed feeling, a lot of the times that's eliminated when you stay away from products that have flour in them. So that's how I handle that. And then if we're at a buffet, then I'll go to the salad bar. Now salad dressings can have hidden modified food starch in them. They can have flour in them, again, for thickening. It's an unnecessary ingredient, but a lot of times it's in there. So what I do is, if I'm going to create a salad for Betty, then I will ask for mayonnaise, ketchup, mustard, and then I will put those items on her salad, and I will toss those into the salad to create a dressing. Because whether we know it or not, that's pretty much what salad dressing is at its foundation. It's mayonnaise, it's vinegar, it's ketchup, Thousand Island dressing. It's got that reddish pinkish tone, and it's because it's a combination of tomato, mayonnaise, pickle, some sugar, some salt, some vinegar, and that's what dressings are made of. And so I take that approach to create my own dressing for her salad, and then she can have cheese on the salad, no croutons, of course. And then I can go and I can choose the chicken, I can choose the pork, I can choose the beef. And I can choose the vegetable if there's cabbage on the buffet, greens on the buffet, any of the veg she can have, green beans, peas, any of those kinds of things. So I know where the hidden starches tend to be. I know the questions to ask, and I know how to create a plate for her that she'll enjoy and that won't make her feel bad. Other tools include tart cherry juice. Tart cherry juice is a great inflammation fighter, and quercetin. There's a supplement called quercetin, and it really helps to intervene with sensitivities and allergies. And wakame. I find that wakame, and that's spelled Wakame, and I find that at an Asian market that is here in Lansing. I like to go and purchase that, and I blend that together. I make a concoction of it, and then I'll take a spoon of it and spoon it into whatever, maybe the soup bowl that I'm making, or I'll take the tart cherry juice and squirt it. If I'm going to make a salad, for example, I'll squirt some of that into the salad dressing. That might be something easy that I would take with me to a restaurant to intervene, to include into her salad. But these things kind of run interference and also help to be soothing to that passageway, because just generally speaking, the consumption of anything, the drinking of anything, is irritating to Betty's stomach lining, her gut. She has a gut brain issue. And as we age, you know, the eyes break down and everything breaks down, including these internal mechanisms. And so for her, the enzymes and just the whole mechanism of action, the metabolic process of eating and drinking is taxing to her. And so these are some of the additional tools that I use to run interference. So again, quercetin, which is in a powder, and I like to open the capsule and put the capsule powder into a smaller unit, because we don't need the whole capsule worth. We can just sprinkle a little bit onto her food. You know, if I see her starting to go through some changes, and what those changes might be, like her eyes might start watering. If she's eating and her eyes start watering, that's a sign that she's having a reaction to whatever it is that she's eating, or just eating in general can be reactive for her. Another sign might be if she starts to do this. You know, that's a sign that she's starting to feel miserable internally from that eating process. The same is true when we're outside walking. Some days she's out there walking, no problem. And other days when we're out there walking, her eyes start to water. Her skin might start to break out if it's too hot outside. You know, we can be inside in the air conditioning, no skin problems. We go outside and start walking. If it's too hot or too much sun or whatever might be in the air that day, it might trigger her to start being itchy and rashy, and webs and whatnot can form on her skin. She's very, very sensitive. And so I'm very sensitive to her. And I mean, my job is to intervene for her, to help her. And that's what I do. The other things that I have found that intervene on behalf of Betty's food sensitivities are heavy whipping cream, orange juice fortified with calcium and vitamin D, and every time I open a box of orange juice, I squirt into it a squirt of Iodine Plus by LifeFlow, because iodine helps the thyroid to function well, and a well-functioning thyroid is also going to help with hormonal balance, and it's going to help the body to cope and to perform better. So I like to additionally fortify orange juice that has already been fortified with calcium and vitamin D. I like to additionally fortify that with iodine. So, and in particular, this particular brand, Iodine Plus by LifeFlow, is the one that I have had great success with. So, maple syrup is another one. I don't know what it is about maple syrup, but maple syrup intervenes on behalf of Betty's allergies. So when I'm making food for her at home, there's always maple syrup that is included in her foods and her drinks. And one more ingredient that I like to highlight is salt. Pink Himalayan salt, always a part of the diet, and iodized sea salt, always a part of her diet. So these are the important tools that help a whole heck of a lot. They're worth purchasing, trying, and I just highly recommend these things. So those are the additional tools that I would recommend. So in summary, my message is food sensitivities, they matter. Pay close attention to what happens after food or drinks go into your loved ones, because the body, it talks to us and we have to be listening to it. So do that. Also, when you go grocery shopping, if it doesn't get into your cart, then it can't get into your loved one. So be very careful at the grocery store. Don't buy it if you can't serve it. Those are the number one messages. Protect, provide, serve your loved one with great integrity. They're depending on you. And this information that you're watching is going to help you to do a better and better job. So I want to commend you, first of all, for doing what you're doing for your loved one. And I want to empower you with good, solid information in terms of what I've learned over the last 8 years of Betty living with me, over the past 20 years of trying to help her with dementia. I've learned a lot. And I want to share it with you, and I want to thank you for tuning in, because clearly you're interested in it. And I just want to thank you for trying to further your knowledge and understanding of how you can best help your loved one. So good luck, and thank you for tuning in. Remember, if you enjoyed this video, remember to like it by hitting the mitten. Remember to share it with others, and remember to subscribe to our channel. Also, take a look at the 2 links in the description. We have GoFundMe and we have Betty's merchandise store, and we'd like for you to support and visit both of them. Thank you so much for all that you're doing for your loved one. We appreciate you so much.